motion from education to take, and that is motion F. I find it in my booklet. So if I ask Ward to come forward, please.
Afternoon again, Congress. Ward McCormick, 50, on behalf of Executive, presenting motion F. Congress, since the McCormick Agreement came in at the start of this millennium, education in Scotland, to a certain extent, benefited a lot from the national agreements which have been generated through the SSTA and local authorities. And local authorities have, on the whole, successfully managed learning and teaching in schools through the LNCTs. These have not been without their problems, of course. We've had our battles along the way. But could we benefit from any of the changes which have happened south of the border? I don't think so. If you look at some of the things, when we look at schools run by charities and trusts, free schools, what could happen then if local authorities are not in charge of the schools? Who would oversee them? Who would govern them? Even worse, what would happen to teachers' terms and conditions? Would any of these bodies, how many of them there might be, could be dozens maybe, would they adhere to the SNCT? What would happen to any collective bargaining as it stands at the moment? Would it still exist? I don't know if, like me, a lot of people get bugged by the so-called experts in education that we hear on TV and read about in the media. They go on about schools are not open for long enough, summer holidays are too long. These people would relish the chance to implement changes of this nature. The end of local authority control over state education could see our schools handed over to trusts and charities, etc., run by people with little knowledge of how to teach, let alone run an education system. Our hard-fought terms and conditions could be destroyed overnight, leading to high workloads, high stress levels, greater teacher absence, and last but not least, poor educational attainment. This list wouldn't be exhaustive. How many times do we hear people saying teaching must be a great job with all these holidays and early finishes? That sort of attitude of ignorance and jealousy, that's the sort of people that might be running our education system. What would happen to our changing to our terms and conditions if that was running our education? Congress, the motion is quite clear. Our education system must not be broken up with trusts and charities and bodies of this kind. We've always, along with our fellow trade unions, had battles with COSLA and the Scottish Government. If we get through that, we continue to work cordially with them round the table. But the alternative would see many different bodies involved in negotiations. It's bad enough that a few local authorities have muddied the waters by withdrawing from COSLA, without the spectre of local authorities completely relinquishing their responsibility altogether. This would undoubtedly result in the loss of the protection that the SNCT offers us altogether in these local authority areas. Colleagues, it's obvious that the experience and expertise that we have built up within education departments and the LNCTs within local authorities must be allowed to continue. The alternative may be too much to bear and a detriment to our education system and the future of our young people, making things more difficult working conditions for our colleagues as well. And colleagues, I urge you, please support this motion.
The seconder? You said.
Sorry, Lord, I couldn't remember if it was second this motion or not. Sid Sanderson, delegate number 9. I'm here to support Ward's motion. I'm not too sure if you are aware, but Aberdeen City is one of those authorities that opted to leave COSLA, and I'd be interested if we debate this, that colleagues from the other 3 authorities were to comment or share their experiences, if they have any, as a result of their authority leaving COSLA. It might be a little bit too early, but already within my own authority, HR service are a little bit uncomfortable at having to leave COSLA. They say it's business as usual, but we're not quite sure how business as usual would be further down the line. They are uncomfortable. They have lost, currently anyway, the ability to liaise with COSLA and train their staff, and consequently they're having to, for the education service, try and this will be worse as the weeks and the months pass, look at the policies that come from SNCT and try to work them through. School policies, education policies, pension policies, all kinds of policies. Now, those of you who are district secretaries here will already be aware that even with the training and that HR receive from COSLA, that they're pretty incompetent at the most of times. I just are really concerned about how the HR service are going to be when they don't have that backup, that strength of being within COSLA. And if you think, well, maybe that doesn't really impact on me as a school teacher, or even me as a trade unionist, it will. If they don't have the capacity, if they haven't got the training, then when issues come up, as a consequence they will, then the professional officers and your district secretaries are going to be having to chase, contest, challenge, try and ensure that the HR service are actually working on behalf and working through the policies properly and competently. A bit early days, but I'm concerned that if we go down a line that Ward points out in his motion, that the service that we're going to have from our authorities is going to be poorer, and that definitely will impact on our conditions of service both locally and nationally. Support the motion, comrades.
Further contributions, Ruth?
I would like to ask for just a point of clarity, okay? You are saying we want the local authorities. We don't want places like these trusts and whatnot that have happened down in England. What about the Scottish Government deciding that they're going to do to education what they did to the police and the fire service? Is that included in this motion, or is that something totally different? I would just like it clarified from my point of view. Okay?
Or do you want to respond to that? Thank you, Ruth.
That would be a separate motion. That's not part of this motion. What we're looking at here is that we wouldn't be dividing the Education Authority up and introducing trusts, etc., like in other countries. The issue of one whole education system for Scotland would have been a separate motion. I think we decided.
Are there any further contributions on the floor? Sid, do you want to respond to anything? Sorry, Roy, do you want anything to respond to anything else that said no? Happy? Okay. Right, well, we'll move to the vote. Those in favour, please show. Those against? Abstentions? Name call.